Hello everyone! First start of Jeep MTB stage in 2023 season is underway and we are in Anykščiai, Lithuania, where I'm going to participate in elite distance. In total there will be around 67 kilometers. This time onboard will be a bit different because I have second camera on Meškauskas tail and seat post, so thanks for him for carrying that camera. Surprisingly, at the beginning of the race I managed to stand at the first row, and even more surprisingly, I've been there for almost whole first kilometer. Who could have thought? The thing is, I didn't know how the course will be in the beginning, and because I never rode in the first row, I kind of forgot that there will be a motorcycle in front, so yeah, he just guided through the course. However, that was not much necessary because at the end of this tarmac, everyone started to overtake me and I thought like, okay, that's not a big deal. However, at some point I went into more loose gravel on this uphill and you can see that everyone just flying through. I'm like, well, am I busted already? Hopefully not, but you can see that on the bottom right there is data from Meškauskas Garmin, and he's been pushing really hard on that. I was trying to follow the whole group from the left on the gravel. I was hit by a branch and it was really a surprise for me because our participant rode in front and the branch just hit me afterwards. So yeah, I didn't have enough space to move to the side, so I just had to take that hit and stay in my line. So I made it and we are going further. So because on that time so many participants managed to overtake me, I had no idea at which position I'm going. However, once we hit the meadow and I noticed that Kondratas is again with gravel bike and he is slower, we had to suffer and make an overtake through that potatoes field on the left. Even though the course was not too much technical or tricky, Paulius Ladiga went down on the first lap. Probably it was a bit slippery, and if I'm not mistaken he was with Thunderbirds, so it's quite easy to go down when you have close to no threads on your tires. Interesting thing happened here where Germantas lost his bottle cage, so he had to throw one bottle away because there was no place where to put it, I guess. Now, as I know already, this was the second group, so in front were 5 people already away from us, and here was a huge group of everyone who kind of tried to stay in the game. On the top right you can see the squares, so the orange one indicates where I am in relation of the course and the white is Aivaras. So in the beginning Aivaras was pushing really hard and was in front, but after 10 minutes or so I managed to overtake him. Whenever camera changes to his tail, you can just take a look at the map and you will know whether he's in front or he's behind. In 2031 I also did this course, but it was in opposite direction with slight different changes. So basically I didn't know almost anything about the course itself. So that uphill caught me off guard. I was not expecting that everyone will go so fast on it, and they just got away from it. However, with Paulius Natalevičius we continued chasing them and we missed the corner. So it's not the first time Paulius missed the corner, but this time I completely understand him because if not him, probably I would have thrown even more straight because it was very fast corner. You can see Aivaras also missed it, so it was kind of not ideally marked up in my opinion, because if there would have been a tape you would have immediately understanding that you should go there, but since there was only arrows and it was out of a speedy corner, it was tricky. But after the first lap, of course, we already knew it and it wasn't that much of a mistake meant that the ones who were behind us managed to catch us, and now we are in the third group of the race. A few moments before we reached this point, there was a crash. Arnas Palaitis recorded it. It's not exactly clearly visible, but basically Remeka with Kruopis were somewhat close to each other, and then they kind of somehow managed to crash. Nothing special, and at the same time you can have a look how Remeka falls down into the ditch, basically on his back. So it was a very scary moment to see, and actually once we rode through that area, it was not exactly clear whether Kruopis fall as well, because it seemed like he's maybe trying to help Remeka. So in the first glimpse it looked like Remeka just went straight into the ditch. However, it was not the case.
Remeka griuvo! Tėvai, dirb! Gelžinį nenori padat. Negi mes dviese čia varysim. Gelžinis man plungė? Plungė. Tai negas man.
It was fun conversation because Ivaras told Arturas Gelžinis to go in front, the one who was third in that pack, while in the center, Dainius Radžiūnas said that what Gelžinis, if he's from Plungė, he's not going to go in front because he's kind of the one who uses others, shall we say, in English, but it sounded a bit differently. Lithuania, kind of-ish. So yeah, Arturas, you should go in front as well from time to time. We were working quite intensely with Colibri cycling, with Paulius Ladiga and Andrius Sikna. So probably without them we were not able to catch anyone in front. And there's a new thing in this onboard where I added the gap from the leaders, well, because for at least once it wasn't 20 minutes or so, so I kind of added it because it's nice to know how fast the distance increased from the main group. So whenever you want to check where the Ivaras is going, you can also take a look at the top bar and you will see the indication of the time. So based on the area where I rode and then afterwards Ivaras did it, you can count the gap. So as mentioned, guys worked really well in this group. Either me, Paulius or Andrius was in front from time to time, and we were successfully closing the gap from the second group. Talking about Remeka again, so the reason why he fell down into the ditch after the crash is because his shoe went into the fence and it kind of hooked him up. But somehow he managed to get away from it, probably with Kruopis' help, and then he, like Phoenix, returned to the race, and actually he led the group for a very long time and no one kind of wanted to go in front of him. For some reason they just sit on his wheel most of the time. There were a few quite sharp corners in the course, and some participants got them. I'm not saying that it's the same thing as it was in XCM Champ, but still, it's just an unfair advantage, in my opinion. I would understand that cut if you were significantly faster and you just want to overtake. Yeah, maybe I'm just... Anyways. Just because on the first lap you managed to go through that area doesn't mean that you are successfully going to do it on the next lap. So on that right side there was a fence which on the first lap was successfully in the ground, but on the second and the third it was already busted, and it was not possible to go there. So on the third lap, I already knew that, and I just went on the opposite side. Was it better? No, it wasn't much better, but at least you don't have to make sure not to hit that fence. The sand section was a bit tricky, and everyone on upcoming laps tried to figure out where's the best traction. Well, probably there was no better traction areas. Some did it straight, some tried to go on the side, etc. So there were lots of different tracks there, and you have to make a decision where to go. So closing the second lap, I completely forgot that Neringa is going to give me the bottle. I just went in front here and I decided to follow him, and then on the last moment, going 40 kilometers per hour, I realized that the bottle is waiting for me, so somehow Neringa managed to give it to me, so it was an amazing job. And actually she even managed to take a few pictures there. I don't know how, but that was impressive. I talk about pictures. Neringa did them, as well as Živilė Kavaliauskienė and probably a few other photographers as well. So it's always nice to take a look at the images. So you can see that after second lap we are 3 minutes 50 seconds from the leader. And then probably we realized that Colibri cycling are not going to work anywhere further, because 3 out of 5 in the upfront group was from Colibri cycling. So of course closing the 4 minutes gap in a single lap would be impossible still. On the race day there were quite a few nasty crashes, and one of them was not exactly sure whether it was specifically here, but here the participant was already being carried by paramedics. Probably it was a broken collarbone, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, somehow maybe it just skid on the gravel and fall, or maybe he was already bringing from upper area of the course, but that was unfortunate. So here again the situation where someone just decides to cut the corner instead of going after everyone. So yeah, we already know the cutting corners topic from XCM. So here apparently 10 kilometers up to the finish remaining. I decided to give a shot. 10 kilometers remaining, well, maybe it was a bit too brave, but I pushed uphill and decided that, well, maybe guys are going to give a sip or something, and then I might get away from the group, because one way or another they were not pushing too much. And even though here my heart rate is like 183 now, it wasn't that intense up to that moment. So I just tried to push a bit, and I saw that a few guys are already left behind. So that was kind of my take on this day. And unfortunately it was not a success, so Julius Ambitious managed to stay with me, and unfortunately once he did it, he slowed down in this single track. So even though you can see my heart rate is still high, but we are going like very slow in terms of the speed, as well as the power was like we are crawling here. So I'm not sure the reason, but if he were not in front, I would definitely went, and maybe I would have been able to get away. But actually that spurt uphill kind of shaken down a few participants, specifically from that time measurement point. That was like something. And remember Emeka? I was like fascinating that he is still going at the front, and at the same time it felt like a bit of unfair to go after his wheel for most of the distance for everyone. So I just decided to go in front and right, instead of just going 200 watts and not pushing at your maximum. Because one way or another, our group will catch you if you go too slow. So why to take that risk? instead you can just push. Apparently the guy started to overtake me once again, so it means that I have potentially not too much juice left. What I'm sharing in these videos is just my opinion, so don't take it too much seriously, and it's just the race in the end. And what I'm sharing here is just overview and point of view of my perception. With that said, if Pilates here was indecisive and made that turn to the left, which almost pushed me into the tree, that doesn't mean that I have something against it. I'm just pointing out that this situation has happened in a way it did, and that's kind of it. But at the same time here, it cost me a bit of time, and the group again went away. So on the race day, my heart rate was quite high. Average was 174, and I even maxed out at 191. But I don't look at the heart rate, because that way I might stop pushing even though I could. And talking about that, I noticed that the group is going away. So I decided to put additional power and try to catch them. I did that with Arnas Pilates and was just trying to see how it goes. Of course, if I wouldn't have left them at the first place, I wouldn't have to suffer. So I just took a sip of water, took a few deep breaths, put the higher gear on. I was going with 36 OL on this race day, was a good decision to do so, and I keep on pedaling. At the top I realized that I don't have too much left, so I went in front of a group for the single track just to see how it could go. And then I knew that almost 1 kilometer left and you have to go full gas on this straight. From somewhere wind appeared and it was really hard to keep on going, and you can see that my heart rate is 190 on this remaining sprint. So Ladiga and Pavlovas went in front, and I kind of opened the gap on the right. I kind of knew that you have to go through an obstacle, it's a block. So yeah, I kind of allowed two of our participants to go in front. Pilates here again changed direction, and I have to brake, and then I have to brake again because it was opportunistic move by me. But you can see that my max heart rate and my max power output was reached at the finish of this race. And again, in Anykščiai, top 10 became 10 in the Elite Open category, 3 laps distance, and in age group I was 8th. So yeah, it's kind of nice to achieve that result, but take it with a grain of salt, simply because there were not too much strong participants in the race. Kind of the main cheerful thing for me on the race day was only 5 minutes from the race winner Arturas Kazakevicius, who did it in the Jeep for the first time. So congratulations, Arturas. That's how 3 laps of Anykščiai MTB looked like this year. Actually, I would say that the onboard itself is the most interesting among all I did to date, simply because there was a lot of action, there was a lot of changes in the group, etc. So at least from that sense, this time highlights probably are not that much important as the onboard itself. So that's it, thanks for the time, and I don't know where we are going to meet. Probably not in Žemaitijos Taurė, because I might be away, but one way or another, it's only the mid of the season and we still have lots of races upcoming. So that's it, thanks for the time, and I hope to see you around.